Good morning again, everybody. Hello, it's me, Denise Glass again. This is for all the home stagers. This video is more or less like a don't give up video. Don't give up on your dreams of being a home stager because it's really worth it. It really is in the long run. I never thought in a million years I would ever be a home stager. I mean, if somebody would have told me 5 years ago, or actually longer than that, 12 years ago, that if I would be staging homes, I would look at them as if they're crazy. You know, I never thought in a million years that I would ever be staging homes, and here I am. I'm staging homes now. The one thing all about staging homes is when you start your business, it's a little rough because a lot of these real estate agents, and sometimes I wonder if they forgot just what it was like for them when they started out selling real estate. Because when they started out selling real estate, they already had people in the office that were seasoned real estate agents that already had a following. They already had clients. They already had homes on the market. These new real estate agents that just graduated school, that got their license, they have zero clients and zero homes on the market. So what do they have to do? They have to go out, they have to pound the pavement, and they have to prove why they are a great real estate agent. Well, that's what home stagers do. We have to prove to all the real estate agents out there that we are really good home stagers. And sometimes I think that real estate agents just forget where they came from and how they got started. And yes, they're filled with countless emails of products and services and stuff. I get it. I really do. You see, back in 1987, long time ago, I was working at a restaurant. It was a hole in the ground restaurant, literally. I was paid under the table. I was paid cash every Friday, and I loved it. And I thought it was fabulous. So not only was I making tips, I was also making cash. And one of my regulars, they came in and they started to argue all about their daughter's wedding. And suddenly, I'm sorry, my phone just went off. It's my daughter. Hold on a second. Oops. Okay, cool. She doesn't have a 1 hour early release today. Thank God. Um, but these people in the restaurant, their octaval levels were going up and up and up because they were arguing all about their daughter's wedding. And I finally walked up to them. I'd known them for about 5 years. And I told them, dude, man, take it outside. What are you doing? And I finally found out why they were arguing, because they were arguing all about their daughter's wedding. Well, being that I was already in the food and the hospitality industry for years, I knew a lot of people. I knew management. I knew hotels. I knew the people that worked in the hotels, because when you're in the hospitality industry, you just know these people. So I found myself helping them out. And one thing led to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And before you knew it, I was involved in planning their daughter's wedding. I had never planned a wedding before. I never did anything. I just went by knowing what to do in a wedding. I mean, I've been to many weddings. I was never in a wedding, thank God. And, but it was just, common sense about food, about appetizers, designs, and stuff like that. And I mean, I had always wanted that fairy tale wedding with the Cinderella dress and the prince and the carriage. Blah. Well, when the wedding was over, she handed me this envelope, and I went home and I tossed it in my basket thinking that it was just a thank you letter. And a few weeks later, I went to go pay my bills, and I found the envelope and I opened it up, and it was a check for $10,000. No lie. And I thought, you're onto something here. So I decided to open up my wedding business. Now, back in 1987, if you had a wedding coordinator, you were really considered wealthy. You were really considered a family that had clout. And this is long before the internet, and long before any wedding companies went onto the internet, where you could literally sit back in your bathrobe and just totally, click, click, click your way, and then you can plan your wedding. Wedding Wire wasn't even around. God, there's so many out there. The Knot, it wasn't even around yet, and if it was, then I never heard of it. And so from 1987 till 1992, that's when the internet really ended up taking over. I was in the wedding business. But the very first year of me doing weddings, I was told, you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to get a wedding job because you don't know anybody and you don't know the right people. Well, you never want to ever underestimate me, because I will prove you wrong. I don't care what it is. I am not going to let somebody stand in the way of my dreams of wanting to design weddings. So I made up my business cards, made up my business flyer, and the one thing I forgot was a business license. I figured since I was working at home, I didn't need a business license. I had to get a business license. So I did. And it was a really hard year. I spent a lot of money investing in my wedding business. I learned how to sew. I learned how to mix colors. I learned how to design weddings. I learned a lot of things about the wedding business that I never thought that I would, but I did. I took wedding courses on design. I went to design school. I never finished design school because 99% of the stuff that they were talking about, I already knew. So I knew that I was wasting my money. And I just kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own. And I grabbed a Yellow Pages because, now remember, back in 1987, 1988, the internet was just starting to creep in and make its way, and everybody was starting to finally go, wow, the internet, I'd never heard of Google. I never heard of Bing. I didn't even know what Yahoo Mail was. So I began to pound the pavement. I drove around. I went to wedding stores. I even got a job at David's Bridal in 2003? Something? No. Anyways, I got a job out at David's Bridal, and I started passing out my business card, and because I was doing that, I got fired. They said, you can't mix your business with ours. And I said, well, if they need a wedding coordinator, I'm going to certainly pass my card to them. Do you know how much business I got that way? But if you are going to do that, keep it on the down low. So from 1987 to 1988, I pounded the pavement. I didn't get one phone call. Nobody called me. Everyone told me that you would never make it because you don't know what you're talking about. Even though I knew I did know what I was talking about. And finally, Long Beach, California did this major renovation, and they opened up the Hilton, and I thought, that's my in. I'm going to go to the Hilton. Went to the Hilton, and they said, with their snobbish little voices, yeah, they have a wedding coordinator. We don't need you. And I looked at the lady and said, She's going to be 6 Sunday. 6 months later, they called me and they were desperate for a wedding coordinator. And, well, at that point, my prices just all of a sudden went. So I told her, well, my fees just went up. And they said they didn't care what the cost was. They couldn't get anyone on the fly, and they needed somebody there right now. So I went in, they signed my contract, and I went to work. When the bride came in with all of her things that she wanted me to design for her wedding, the colors, the centerpieces were awful. So I told her, I have an idea. Let me do this my way. And I took her hideous Halloween orange mixed with lavender and red colors into a star-studded light lavender, light gray with a little hint of red in her wedding. And it went off without a hitch. They changed all the bridesmaids' dresses. They changed it to match the entire theme of the wedding. I changed all the florals out on the tables. I changed out all the linens. I changed out everything. I told the bride, these are hideous colors, and you're going to be the laughingstock of the city. Everyone's going to be talking all about your wedding and how ugly the colors are. I did all the food choosing, all the menu design, all the invitation design. I did it all. The wedding went off without a hitch, and it was beautiful. And suddenly my name just started floating through the entire wedding world. And before you knew it, because this is when we had answering machines, we didn't have cell phones then, I would come home from work, because I still worked. You know, you still have to work when you start a business, because you're not going to go out there in the home staging business and all of a sudden be flagged with so much work that you can't even breathe. That's not realistic. Realistic is you're going to have to pound the pavement, do the work, and make yourself known out there. But when I came home from work as a waitress, because I still waitress, back in 1989, 88, my answer machine was beginning to fill up. And I realized I needed vendors. I needed help. So I went down to this wedding store that was plagued with vendors. And I walked in and they had all these little business cards of vendors. And I told them, I need every single one of your cards. And the lady said, why? And I says, because I have a wedding coming up and I need help. And she says, those cards are 5 cents each. And I said, okay. What I did, I don't suggest anyone do. But then again, I like to push the envelope right off the table. I've been known to do that. You can ask my parents. I've made them mad enough where my dad says, you love to push the envelope off the table. When she went in the back room, I kind of made a mad dash throughout the entire store without her knowing. And I picked up all the cards and I shoved them in my purse. Yeah, even 5 cents for a card was a lot of money for me back then. That is how poor I was when I started my wedding business. Because even though I had my first wedding, I still had all these expenses that I had to pay. I had to pay for all the materials I needed for weddings. I mean, who knew when I was going to get a wedding again? I mean, I could have gotten one the following week, and I had to be ready. So, with the money that I made from the wedding, that was the hideous orange Halloween color to this beautiful lavender gray, with a hint of red. That money I made, I had to turn around and I had to reinvest it in the business. So I made $0 on it. But yet still, I was not going to, this wasn't going to waive my thought of me wanting to do weddings and design them. So When she came out from behind the room, I just kind of stood there, and she goes, "Oh, you're still here?" I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to be getting some cards." And her phone rang, and she went in the back of the room, and I did a clean sweep throughout the store. I gathered all the rest of the cards, and I left. I don't suggest you do that, but that opened so many doors for me. It really did. And sometimes we got to do things that we don't want to do. Sometimes we have to take it to a level that we don't want to take it at, but we do. And I began calling these people that were vendors, wedding cakes, photographers, linen people, suppliers for food, plates, chairs, you name it all. I sat on my phone for 3 days and I called everybody and I told them who I was and that I needed their help. And I drove out to every single appointment that I made, and I met with these people, and I sold myself. I sold my ability from all the studying I did on weddings, from all the investment I made, from all the reading of the books, the magazines, talking to so many people, because my mom says that I'll talk to anything in the upright position with a mouth, and I will. And everything I've done, I did for myself. In my wedding business, it took off. So when somebody tells you as a home stager, don't give up, don't give up. Because I'm not giving up. Giving up is too easy. Giving up on anything is just too easy. Just fight the fight and you'll make it. You'll get there. It just takes a while to get there. Now, I just started my home staging business, but you have to understand, I've been designing weddings for 29 years, so I've been designing things from the interior and the exterior. I did home staging for 9 years when I didn't even know that I was home staging. I took a real estate course. For 5 years, I studied real estate inside and out. I know all about it. There isn't anything I don't know all about it. Well, except being a loan officer. No, you couldn't pay me to be one of those. But it's like, I don't know. This one lady's house that I used to clean. She had a 4-story house. No, 3-story house. The house was built in 1912. It's in Portland. It's up on the hillside over there by the train tracks. And she wanted to move. Her house was on the market for 6 months. Not a bite. She was one of those natural women that believed bugs were human life and that you never kill a bug. Well, every time I was in her house cleaning her house and a bug would come in, I'd squash it or I'd spray it. I don't want some bug in the house when I'm cleaning it. And these were not just little bugs. These were big bugs, spiders. But finally, on the 6th month, when she felt defeated and she felt like she wasn't going anywhere and the house was never going to sell, I told her, take off. Let me do what I do. And little did I know at that point that I was home staging. I had no idea. All I know is that I took everything off the mantle. I dusted it. I cleaned it. I took all this excess toys and junk that her daughter had from both rooms, and I changed it out, and I swapped it out. I put everything downstairs in the basement, and I staged her house. Her house sold in 4 days. 4 days. Now, I'm not saying I'm some big guru in staging, because I'm not. But what I do know is what sells a house and what buyers are looking for. Buyers are savvy these days. They know exactly what they're looking for. So that's another part of my home staging tips. Don't give up. Fight the fight. Giving up is too easy. Just stay with it. Thanks. Bye.